Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today. This is your primetime destination news. Newsmakers talking points. Om Birla has returned as Lok Sabha Speaker after a voice vote. Also after Enforcement Directorate, now the CBI has arrested Delhi Chief Minister Kejriwal. The big question tonight, is the Modi government trying to once again bulldoze the opposition inside and outside Parliament? That's the question we'll raise. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. Om Birla returns to the Speaker's chair as the NDA wins a voice vote for that post. Rahul Gandhi hurls a non-democratic jibe, says Speaker must allow the opposition to speak in this Lok Sabha. An emergency showdown in Parliament. Speaker Om Birla says dictatorship was imposed by Indira Gandhi as a resolution is passed. Congress claims it is the Modi government that's unleashed an undeclared emergency. Rahul Gandhi takes charge as the leader of the opposition in his first ever constitutional role, says he will act as the voice of the marginalized while protecting the constitution. CBI gets 3-day custody of Arvind Kejriwal in the Liquorgate case. Agency claims 45 crore scam money trail established. AAP says Kejriwal's arrest exemplifies dictatorship. Tamil Nadu's hooch tragedy, death toll mounts to 63. AIDMK MLA suspended from the assembly amidst raging protests. Stalin government to reply to the Madras High Court in 10 days. CBI cracks down on the NEET exam mess. Principal of a Jharkhand school from where the question paper was leaked is held after interrogation. Hunt on for mastermind Sanjeev Mukhia. No bail for sex abuse accused Prajwal Revanna. Bengaluru court denies him bail, citing gravity of crimes committed by him. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange returns to his home country, Australia. Assange freed after 12 years in a US plea deal where he will plead guilty for breaching the espionage law. An Indian origin astronaut, Sunita Williams, is stuck in space. Sunita and her crewmate are stranded after glitches in their Boeing spaceship are found. Okay, let's for now though turn to our breaking news at the moment. Sam Pitroda, who was the Congress's overseas chief, has returned to the party. He has been reinstated as the Congress's overseas chief. This is one of the first decisions that comes soon after Rahul Gandhi was appointed and made the leader of the opposition of the Congress. Pitroda reappointed after resigning on the 8th of May. Remember, it was on the 8th of May that Sam Pitroda had resigned after several controversial remarks were made by him, remarks that led to the Congress facing flack from the BJP at the election time, and therefore Pitroda was pushed out, some would say, or moved out of that post. He's now been reappointed within 24 hours of Rahul Gandhi becoming the leader of the opposition. Remember, Rahul Gandhi is reportedly and known to be close to Sam Pitroda. Now, all of this, of course, taking place while the first day of the swearing in of the new MPs was taking place, and Parliament today seeing the return of Om Birla as the Lok Sabha Speaker for a second term. Birla was chosen by a voice vote after the opposition backed down from their earlier demand for a contest for the post. But Mr. Birla had controversy on his lips as well, because he moved a resolution criticizing Indira Gandhi and the emergency, which, remember, was imposed in 1975, asking all MPs to observe 2 minutes of silence for those who had suffered during the emergency. The opposition objected to the manner in which the resolution had been framed, the Prime Minister claiming emergency exemplified dictatorship, the India Alliance erupting in protest, claiming there is an undeclared emergency in the country at the moment under the Modi government. All of this playing out in Parliament as a new Lok Sabha Speaker was chosen. Take a look.
Shri Om Birla is declared elected as the Speaker of this House.
Om Birla is back in the Speaker's chair in the Lok Sabha, becoming only the second presiding officer to return after having served a full term after Congress's Balram Jakhar. The NDA candidate won against opposition's K. Suresh after a voice note.
Those against may say no. I think the ayes have it.
In a rare moment of bonhomie, the Prime Minister, newly appointed LOP, then escorted Om Birla to the Speaker's chair.
आपके चेयर है, आप संभालें. Please.
आपकी अध्यक्षता में संसद में जो ऐतिहासिक निर्णय हुए हैं, आपकी अध्यक्षता में सदन के माध्यम से जो सुधार हुए हैं, ये अपने आप में एक सदन की भी और आपकी भी विरासत है.
The opposition, however, had some terse words for Om Birla.
Speaker sir, it is very important that cooperation happens on the basis of trust. It is very important that the voice of the opposition is allowed to be represented in this House.
आपका अंकुश विपक्ष पे तो रहता ही है, लेकिन आपका अंकुश सत्ता पक्ष पे भी रहे.
150 लोग जब सस्पेंड हुए तो हम सबको बहुत दुख हुआ सर. तो हमारी कोशिश रहेगी कि अगले 5 सालों में इस सस्पेंशन का आप ना सोचे, बातचीत हो सकती है, हमेशा हम डायलॉग के लिए तैयार रहते हैं.
But a storm erupted in Parliament soon after when the Speaker invoked the emergency.
भारत की पहचान पूरी दुनिया में लोकतंत्र की जननी के तौर पर है. भारत में हमेशा लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों और वाद संवाद का समर्थन हुआ, हमेशा लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों की सुरक्षा की, उन्हें हमेशा प्रोत्साहित किया गया. ऐसे भारत पर श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी द्वारा तानाशाही थोप दी गई, भारत के लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों को कुचला गया और अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी का गला घोटा गया.
Inside Lok Sabha, the opposition raised slogans in protest. Outside, the BJP staged a big protest.
ये बहुत ही ऐतिहासिक दिन था जब काली इमरजेंसी के 50 साल पूरे हुए, तो आज 18वीं संसद में माननीय स्पीकर साहब ने इस प्रस्ताव के माध्यम से वो सच्चाई रखी. सिर्फ और सिर्फ इंदिरा गांधी की कुर्सी बचाने के लिए ये इमरजेंसी लगाई गई थी.
ये तमाम बीजेपी के लोगों ने जो आज किया है वो दिखावा किया है. ऐसा नहीं कि केवल उस समय वही जेल गए हों. समाजवादी नेता और समाजवादी उस समय के जितने जनता पार्टी या तमाम नेताओं ने भी उस समय को देखा, लेकिन हम पीछे मुड़ के कितना देखें, हम पास्ट को कितना देखें, भविष्य हमारे सामने क्या है.
आपको
After Om Birla's statement in the House, Prime Minister Modi to put out a message thanking him for speaking on the emergency. He also attacked the Gandhis and the Congress, saying that the emergency era exemplified dictatorship. The Parliament showdown is only set to escalate. With Piyush Mishra, Mausami Singh and Ashutosh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's go back to that big breaking news that we had. Sam Pitroda reinstated as the head of the Indian Overseas Congress. Sam Pitroda now joins me from Chicago. Appreciate your joining us, Sam. It's been quite a roller coaster for you. It was 8th of May when you resigned from that post, allegedly because of the controversies that some of your remarks generated. That was the heat of elections. Now, elections over, you're back. How is one to understand this? It comes within 24 hours. Rahul Gandhi becoming the leader of the opposition? Is there a connection? Is Sam Pitroda now back and legitimized in a way?
Well, first of all, Sam Pitroda was not sacked, as your headline says.
Right.
Sam Pitroda was not making any remarks about racist. It is your interpretation. Sam Pitroda decided he wanted to take himself out, so he agreed to resign. Two, the racist remark were not racist. It is the racist people who thought it was racist. So let's clear it out. And this is where I have problem with Indian media. Okay? That you just assume that Sam Pitroda was sacked. Okay, who told you that? Did you ever ask Sam Pitroda how did it happen? No, but that's okay. Let's not get into it. That is past. Let's talk about future. First of all, I'm thankful to the Congress President, to Rahul Gandhi, and to all the presidents of the Indian Overseas Congress who have been insisting that I take on this task. First of all, I don't need a job. I'm 82 years old. I don't need to be anything. So let's make it very clear. But I believe there is an opportunity here to take the Indian message global. Indian message is all about democracy, constitution, inclusion, employment. Democracy is important to people of India. People of India have spoken because India was at crossroads. Either they go BJP, RSS way, or they go the way where they avoid dictatorship. And this message is important to the world. As you know, there are elections in many countries coming up right now. There are elections shortly in UK, France, America. Everywhere you have this challenge to protect democracy, to have a little more liberal mindset.
I'm going to come to your democracy message in a moment, Sam, but I just want to clarify, so that we put this issue at rest. You resigned on the 8th of May voluntarily. You claim that the media misinterpreted your messages, including the message where you said we could hold together a country as diverse as India, where people on East look like Chinese, people on West look like Arabs, people on North look like maybe white, and people in South look like Africans. That was interpreted to be a racist comment because that was the heat of elections and people thought you had embarrassed your party. Is it that you felt that you had embarrassed your party then and now things have settled down? How is one to look at this? Do you feel let down at times? Forget the media, by your own party.
No, first of all, I decided that it is better to take myself out of discussion because Prime Minister started twisting facts. Prime Minister started talking about Sam Pitroda. There is no need for Prime Minister to get involved in what Sam Pitroda said. But it was very clear that no matter what Sam Pitroda says, whether it's on inheritance tax, which was more as a what is going on in US, they will twist it. And media would help them twist it. You all are party to it.
Yeah, the question is, no one is, I don't hold a brief for the media, but even the Congress and your communications in charge, Jairam Ramesh, had said the analogies drawn by Sam Pitroda in a podcast to illustrate India's diversity are unfortunate and unacceptable. Do you think your party sort of threw you under the bus during the elections?
Okay. We could have, Sardesai, we could have differences in the party. Jairam may think differently. That doesn't mean Jairam is right. Okay, that's okay. That's perfectly acceptable. Look, at the end of the day, we all came from Africa. Let's not forget that. It all depends on how a scientist looks at it versus what an average guy looks at it. Fine. Maybe the comparison was not that great. I'm also allowed to make mistake. I'm a human being. Talk to me. Clarify with me what I said. Don't run like a wildfire. That's what media does. But that's okay. That's what you are.
Which brings me to the democracy question. Do you believe democracy has, Mr. Pitroda, become so polarized that there is no space for nuance, there is no space for debate, there is no space for dialogue. So someone like Sam Pitroda is almost an anachronism in today's democracy. Democracy was supposed to be about dialogue. Now it's about social media. They will take your comments and choose to run with it the way you want. In that sense, is that a lesson you've learned?
No, I have not no lesson to learn. Okay, I understand. I'm 82-year-old. I know what lesson to learn, and I don't need, somebody from media to tell me what lesson to learn. Okay, I believe in truth and absolute truth. I was very clear when I made a comment. It was not a racist comment. The comment about inheritance tax is something I can't introduce. Inheritance tax, only government of India can do it. It would require debate, discussion, conversation. Who am I? But I can mention that this is a case in the US. That doesn't mean I'm promoting it. But when Prime Minister of a country decides to troll on you, the nation joins him.
So isn't that, Sam, why there is a democracy deficit today? That today, because those conversations are not there, everyone is in their own echo chambers. No one wants to have a dialogue. You mentioned elections taking place across the world, including United States. Look at the Trump versus Biden battle, the way it's taking place. Modi versus Rahul Gandhi. Isn't that a challenge in a way to strike a conversation in a manner in which more people can engage with each other?
Agree with you. And that's what you all should be doing. Okay, that's what you all should be doing, helping us have a fair dialogue, give us space to all of us. And it's okay for us to have our differences. It is okay to make mistakes once in a while. We are all human beings. But why can't we just work together in a respectful manner, in a dignified manner, and not have our discourse, which is unhealthy?
But isn't that because the left, at least in this country, doesn't seem to accept Mr. Modi as Prime Minister? They think he is authoritarian and is someone who is bringing an undeclared emergency, words used today in Parliament as well. And the BJP believes that the Congress is a dynastical, entitled party and therefore they are the party of the 75 emergency. Who are they to lecture us? Isn't that part of the problem, the nature of the conversation between these two major parties in India?
Well, that is for them to decide. All I can tell you that Congress has done so much for India. Every piece of development that you see today is only because of Congress. Okay. Believe me. Whether it is IIT, IIM, space, atomic energy, telecom, IT, employment, you name it. You can't undermine that.
No, you can't undermine that, but you can also give credit to some of the good things that Mr. Modi has. Is it possible to see politics in a continuum that
Of course, Modi has done some good things. I have no problem with it. Of course, roads were built. Of course, Digital India was taken forward. Of course, all of the seeds that we planted were not undone. Of course, Aadhaar continued. So that's okay. That's fine. I appreciate that. Okay? I'm not saying that nothing got done. A nation of 1.5 billion people has to move on. And when they work, that doesn't mean all the credit goes to Prime Minister. Credit goes to people of India. 10 years of work of 1.5 billion. You can't say nothing got done. It will be naive to say that.
So what according to you, Mr. Pitroda, is the message of the 2024 mandate? We've seen the Congress go from 53 to 99. We've seen the BJP come down, but the BJP is still party number one. Mr. Modi is a third-time Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi, leader of the opposition. Now, what, according to you, is the central message the Indian voter has delivered?
I think Indian voters have loudly said that we will not give absolute majority to Prime Minister Modi. We will not allow him to be dictatorial. We want him to compromise. He will have a government with coalition. We respect the voices of the opposition. And people have spoken loud and clear. The key is, are we going to listen to the people's voices, or are we going to have business as usual? You see, there are 5 areas that I am personally going to be looking at a personal level. One, the behavior of the Prime Minister. Is he going to change in the 3rd term, or he thinks he will continue his business as usual and ignore the voices of the people? That's item number 1. Item number 2, will opposition be strong enough, raise their voice, make sure that the Parliament has more discussion, debate in passing the bill and not ram it through like in the past. 3, institutions will have to be on alert. Judiciary, police, income tax, election commission, universities will have to recognize that people of India want democratic way of decision making and not dictatorial way. So you got to do your job as an independent institution. 4, civil society will have to recognize that we have a bigger role to play and we can't be in the background. We can't be undermined. We got to speak up as the catalyst, and we got to be vigilant. And 5, media will have to give more voice to the opposition, respect, and not toot only Prime Minister's horn, that everything is done by Prime Minister. Okay, Digital India is Prime Minister, digital payment is Prime Minister, okay, inauguration is Prime Minister. Come on, give everybody a break. Let's be humble.
Why, you say this is a vote for humility. Will the opposition also recognize that this is a vote for the opposition also to be a constructive opposition, for leaders to feel less entitled? You know, there's a sense that the opposition also believes that they haven't got 100, the Congress hasn't got 99, they've got 270. So the opposition also needs to be more constructive.
Yes, of course they should be more constructive. But it's not about 99 and 234 or whatever the number is. It is not about numbers. So let's not get into, nitty-gritty details. It's about the overall voice of the people. And overall the voice of the people is about democracy. It's about inclusion. It's about employment. These are the issues.
One final question. Rahul Gandhi is someone you know better than anyone else. He's now taken up the responsibility of leader of opposition. What would your advice be to Rahul Gandhi? Has Rahul Gandhi changed, you believe, in the last couple of years? Reluctant leader, is he now much more ready to take up challenges?
Rahul Gandhi knows his job. I have great respect for him. I worked with him. I admire him in many ways as a young man. I think he will do a good job. He doesn't need my advice.
Sam, you're in good form, I see. You say he doesn't need your advice, as we saw. I thought he was someone who saw you as a mentor, so I thought you would tell us what was that one piece. But you would have one piece of advice for him. What's the one piece of advice?
Be yourself.
Okay. Be yourself is your 2 short word advice. Sam Pitroda, always good to have you on the show. Good to see you back. You're a contentious figure in many ways, but India needs many more voices, contrarian even if they are. Hopefully the dialogue and conversation you talk about will be carried forward.
Rajdeep, I want to spend more time on taking message of democracy global. I want to spend more time in reaching out to the global community on democracy, development, inclusion, and many issues which are Gandhian and are very important to the world. Okay. So that's where we need to spend more time.
Okay, good. I hope that you're able to carry that message forward in a positive, constructive way. Sam Pitroda, good to talk to you. Thanks very much for joining me there within an hour of having been reinstated as the Indian Overseas Congress Chief. Thank you very much. Okay, now all of this, of course, comes, as I said, on a day when we're seeing all the noise in Parliament as well as the action there. Om Birla returning as the Lok Sabha Speaker. The government making it very clear they would not compromise on that, elected by a voice vote. Also, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, in the CBI net, even as his bail plea had come before the Supreme Court, Kejriwal sent to 3 days CBI custody in the Liquorgate case. The agency now alleging that over 44 crore rupees was routed via Hawala to Goa to fund AAP's poll campaign. AAP has said all these allegations are false and there is no money trail. Kejriwal is being targeted by the Modi government. So you've got the speaker inside Parliament. He has been chosen by the BJP, and you've got Kejriwal claiming he's been hounded. It leads me to my talking point. Is the Modi government seeking to bulldoze the opposition into submission? Is 240 the new 400? Will opposition have a voice inside and outside Parliament or not? Rahul Verma, Fellow Centre for Policy Research, is joining us. Shazia Elmi, BJP spokesperson. Mohan Kumar Mangalam, Congress spokesperson. Jasmine Shah, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. Let's turn to you, Shazia Elmi, first, because the charges are being made by the opposition, and I'll get them to make them once again in whatever form they wish. But is there a sense that the BJP has misread the verdict? You're treating 240 as 400. Hum jo karenge wahi sahi hai. We will not give you a deputy speaker. We will arrest Arvind Kejriwal even as his bail plea is coming up before the Supreme Court. How do you respond?
So first of all, I would like to comment on Sam Pitroda's reinstatement. Obviously, Congress party was hoodwinking Indians and Bharatiyas into believing that this was a serious measure that they took against him, and he made it very clear. It was all for effect, just like the Khatakhat promise was, and just like everything else. So imagine outsourcing your intelligence and your caliber to a man like Sam Pitroda, whose hubris was hilarious and laughable. A man who talks about riots and says, "Hue to hue." A man who thinks, Rajdeep, that you perhaps are an Arab and I'm Anglo-Saxon in some strange way. A man who comes and spends time in the US where he could have learned some basics of political correctness, when even a simple bumpkin in India would know better and have more refinement in the way he will describe fellow Indians. So it's a matter of great shame, really. And I heard the man, in some la-la land he lives. I don't know what on earth. He's the man who said the middle classes should learn to pay more. He's the one who talks about wealth tax. He's the man who talked about African,
calling for a
Chinese
conversation and dialogue, ma'am.
And he's been brought back.
Ma'am, you're attacking Sam Pitroda.
One by
attacking Sam Pitroda. I asked you an entirely different question about 240, 400. Whether the BJP is also in its own hubris. Fair enough. You made the comment. Sam Pitroda, you're accusing Mr. Pitroda of hubris. The opposition is accusing you of hubris. Ma'am, the opposition is accusing you. Please respond to that. No, please respond to my question.
Exactly. So the answer is there.
Yes.
My answer was exactly to your question. When you insinuate that BJP wants to bulldoze or doesn't care for democracy, this is what I'm telling you. Look, you heard Sam Pitroda. You heard what Congress party is all about. You should have asked this question of them. How can you have a man like that? How can you reinstate a man like that? You talk of democracy? And how rich is that? You know, on the 50th anniversary, these people flay the constitution. The people who have... Indira Gandhi has toppled elected state governments 50 times. Article 356 has been invoked 90 times. You mangled the spirit of democracy by imposing emergency. Not just that, you actually played with the basic structure of the constitution by inserting secular and socialist. And not just that, instead of saying that you know, we are happy to be here and we will play a more responsible role, you are saying that BJP wants to do away with the idea of deputy speaker, when Kiran Rijiju said very clearly that first the office of speaker has to be discussed. After that, we can discuss deputy speaker.
Okay, so you're saying, okay, ma'am, you made your point. I've listened to you patiently. You made your point. You're claiming broadly claiming who is the Congress to take the moral high ground on the issue of emergency. Mohan Kumar Mangalam, respond. Because I think this has been the central plank the BJP has had for the last 2 days. The Congress is no one to waive the constitution and talk of emergency, talk of an undeclared emergency when they brought in an original emergency.
It seems like the Prime Minister and the BJP haven't learned anything from this election. If all the Prime Minister has been doing for the last 10 years, it is dredging up the past. Mrs. Indira Gandhi herself apologized for the excesses of the emergencies. Mr. Rahul Gandhi, in a conversation, I think it was in Cornell when he was asked this, said that the emergency was patently wrong. Now, this is part of our historic past. If they want to keep bringing it up in a way to show that they are somehow superior or they have done no wrong, then the public of India have already told them that they don't trust them enough to give them a full majority. It is there for all to see. Why is Mr. Modi continuing with the same rhetoric that we've heard for the last decade? To me, the news of today is that after a decade, India finally has a constitutional post of the leader of opposition. We have a strong opposition in parliament. As far as Mr. Pitroda goes, in the awful language used by Shazia Ilmi, I would just let her know that Mr. Pitroda has done more for this country by way of creating institutions like the C.Dot than she's ever done. So she should watch her language
but you threw him under the bus. If I may say so, you threw him under the bus when it was convenient during the elections. And now that the elections are over, you're bringing him back. You should have stood up for him. If he was someone who had done so much for the country, why didn't the Congress stand up for him? Then you were intimidated by Mr. Modi and the BJP.
Rajdeep, in the hullabaloo of what was happening during the elections, Mr. Modi was twisting Mr. Pitroda's words every chance he got. It is because of that that Mr. Pitroda, as he just told you himself, resigned from the post. He was not removed from the post. He resigned so that he could be, out of the conversation that was happening and the narrative in that election that was set by the Congress, which was centered around people's issues, would be brought back into focus. So Mr. Pitroda was the one who made that call. Okay. And now that the election's over, we implored him to come back. As he said himself, all the presidents of the Overseas Congress wanted him back in that position. And we honored their call for that and brought him back.
Okay.
So let me bring in... Going beyond Mr. Pitroda, let me just say one more thing.
Yes.
Shazia Ilmi says that, Kiran Rijiju says that we'll talk about the speaker and then the deputy speaker. I wonder if they did this last time as well. In the last Lok Sabha, even though Article 93 of the Constitution mandates that there should be a deputy speaker, in the history of independence, India was the first time where we did not have a deputy speaker. And what we are asking for is to follow the constitutional and parliamentary propriety and norms of having someone from the opposition bloc be deputy speaker. It is something that was followed during Vajpayee ji's term. It was something that was followed during Dr. Manmohan Singh's term. And for some reason, the BJP believes that, or the Prime Minister himself believes that he can talk about reaching across the aisle, around consensus, but he wants to ride roughshod over all of us.
Okay, you made your point. Mohan, I've given you equal time. Let's move on to Jasmine Shah of the Aam Aadmi Party. Jasmine Shah, the Aam Aadmi Party today is claiming that Narendra Modi is behaving like a dictator based on the fact that Arvind Kejriwal has been rearrested by CBI. Thereby, the insinuation is all of this is being done under Prime Minister's instructions. The BJP claims, look, you have the courts, you're likely to file a bail petition in the Supreme Court. Wait for the courts to decide. Why is everything being attributed to the Prime Minister?
Rajdeep, the entire of today, there was a long hearing in the CBI court, and two things became very clear by the end of it. First and foremost is the manner in which the CBI sprung into action. On 20th of June, less than a week back, after a lengthy process, Mr. Kejriwal was given a bail by the trial court. Immediately a day after, the ED goes to the High Court, and without even the court order of the trial court coming out, it goes and it argues and it says that I do not agree with an order which doesn't exist and obtains a stay. But the Supreme Court, then we went to the Supreme Court agreed to hear us. But what happens after that? The CBI jumps into action. Now, mind you, this was the same CBI which in April of 2023, 14 months back, it interrogated Mr. Kejriwal for 9 hours. After that interrogation for 14 months, CBI was completely silent. It went out of action. But the moment the Modi government realized that Supreme Court might give relief to Mr. Kejriwal, like it did when it gave interim bail during elections, what does it do? It puts CBI into the boxing ring. And CBI suddenly, after sleeping for 14 months, makes Kejriwal an accused, and today morning even arrests him. There's no rhyme, reason, logic that it says as to why was it sleeping for 14 months. So these are too many coincidences.
Let Shazia
all these actions. I'll just complete.
Shazia Ilmi, last night.
I want to come in.
Last night the CBI goes
No, I have not finished, Rajdeep. This is not fair.
Okay, complete.
You have barely allowed me to speak for 30 seconds.
Okay,
I have to finish. One more point I have to make.
Please complete.
today's very important happening within the court needs to be remarked, and which is that the CBI was caught red-handed by the judge of the trial court lying. What did the CBI say today in the court? It said, it actually made a false statement in front of the judge that it is, Mr. Kejriwal ne palla jhaad diya hai. He has put the entire onus of the scam on Sisodia. Immediately, Mr. Kejriwal stood up and said, show me the statement. I challenge you to show me the statement. And the judge then read of the statement of Kejriwal and told CBI, he has nowhere said this, you are lying. So all this while what AAP has been saying that CBI and ED are only lying. This is a false investigation. It's a false scam. Today CBI was exposed and it was caught red-handed in the court lying in front of a judge. And these two actions, the timing of CBI's action and the manner in which today it argued the matter in the court and it was caught red-handed makes it very clear. Okay. This entire action smacks of vendetta, this entire action smacks of malified, and it is a political vindictiveness which has very few parallels in our country before this.
Before I come to you, Rahul Verma, just be a little patient because Shazia Ilmi, you need to respond to this. I saw last night that the CBI had gone to Tihar Jail to question Arvind Kejriwal, and it came just a day before Mr. Kejriwal's bail petition was to come in the Supreme Court, and there were indications he might well get bail. The timing is very questionable. For 14 months, the CBI does precious nothing. Suddenly, just before the bail petition is to come, you go and arrest him. Then you lie. He's right. Jasmine Shah is right. The CBI lied today in the court. I've seen that they said Arvind Kejriwal had made a statement implicating Manish Sisodia. It wasn't there anywhere. Are we now to believe that this is why the opposition is saying there's an undeclared emergency?
Imagine.
This is what Indira Gandhi used to do.
No, opposition can say anything. You can use semantics.
No, it's not semantics. Challenge me on facts.
You don't want to talk about
Challenge me, ma'am, on facts. For 14 months, why did the CBI do nothing?
You don't want to keep a
Madam, you are not answering my question.
When there's an imagination, when there is speculation of what... Let me finish. Rajdeep, you asked the question.
Yeah, please answer.
You asked the question. I've heard Jasmine. I want to answer each one of the charges made. Clearly.
Please do, ma'am.
So, yes, I want to. So, only if you allow me to speak, right? So, instead of talking about the emergency that has happened, that has seen the darkest days of how our constitution was played with, how the spirit of democracy was squashed, we don't want to talk about that, how it was snuffed. But we want to talk about the undeclared emergency. Where is it happening? What is happening? How are the courts functioning? For everybody to see how so many of them, whether it's Sonia Gandhi, whether it's Rahul Gandhi, whether it's Tejasvi Yadav, whether it's Karti Chidambaram or P. Chidambaram, they're all out on bail. Is there any kind of misgiving or any kind of prejudice, a bias displayed? No. Manish Sisodia has been in jail. Are you trying to say that right from the Supreme Court to the High Court to the lower courts, all of them are biased against Kejriwal? How deluded is this party to think that they're the most important people? Are there no form of threat to anybody? Least of all,
no, but
BJP.
That's the CBI, one. So you don't see any coincidence?
Did say
you don't see any coincidence.
I was not behind. It was the idea of... No, let me finish. No, you use the word lie. I will not speak for CBI or ED. Next time, get them on this thing. But Arvind Kejriwal did say that Vijay Nair reported to Atishi and Saurabh. And Arvind Kejriwal did say very categorically that privatization was not my idea.
No, but ma'am, I have to only go by the statement the CBI made in court. Okay.
Who is he attributing
this to? Voice down. No, you've made your point. No, I will now, ma'am, I must intervene. Voice down. Jasmine Shah. Jasmine, no, yeah, you can have whatever. You can say, please put the voice down, producer. Jasmine Shah, the point which is being made is the AAP also seems to have this persecution complex. The world is against them. Are you telling me, Jasmine Shah, that you believe no court of this country can be honest? You got a favorable judgment from the trial court. It was overturned in the High Court. You now go to the Supreme Court. You get vindicated in the Supreme Court. You can come back with confidence and say Mr. Kejriwal is being hounded.
Rajdeep, what on earth in my statement suggested that targeting the CBI or ED or the BJP is equivalent to targeting the courts? At all points in time, we are saying we have faith in the constitution of this country. We have faith in the judicial system of this country. Yes, justice does get delayed, especially under horrendous and draconian laws like PMLA, which were created by the Modi regime or amended, especially to make sure that political opponents languish in jail and bail is very, very difficult. But that doesn't mean that the truth will not triumph. The truth did triumph on 20th of June. in a very well-reasoned order. The trial court actually said that every argument BJP spokespersons like Shazia Almi and ED in the charge sheet has been making are complete lie.
Okay.
But what happens without even the
Jasmine, I'm going to hold
judgment
you.
coming out?
I'm going to hold you there because I've got a guest who's been waiting patiently. Put the politician's voice down. Rahul Verma, you're hearing, you see, it almost seems deja vu. All these debates were held before June 4th. And I thought post June 4th, we will come to a new kind of polity. The voters' message will be respected. Less arrogance, less willingness to be a little humble, and less vindictiveness. But what we've seen, little compromise, even on the speaker's post, no compromise, charges being made that the opposition leaders are being hounded. Is it that June 4th didn't happen, or is 240 the new 400, as I call it?
I don't want to use the word 400, Rajdeep, but I think both the BJP as well as the opposition and mainly Congress had not heeded to the message as you are expecting. BJP in last few days has indicated that it's business as usual. There is going to be continuity in its approach and politics. Congress, I think, thinks that its aggressive posturing during the campaign is one of the reasons why they have done well. And so what you are going to see in next few years, both inside the parliament as well as outside the parliament, a sharpening of ideological battles which got started in this election. Think of like 2024 being slightly different from 2014 and 2019 because there were nationally emotive issue in 2019 in form of Pulwama Balakot, and 2014 has more sort of like anti-incumbency sentiment which dominated the thing. In 2024, if you look at both the manifestos of the parties, especially the Congress and the BJP, and the way this campaign was run, I think it clearly defined the ideological conflict at the heart of Indian politics. Both sides have now the daggers are out, and this election campaign in some ways have sharpened certain social and economic fault lines. Okay. And you will see this spilling over on the streets as well, not just in the parliament, because opposition has found some more weight in terms of number and voice.
Yes, but the opposition may have found weight, Mr. Kumaramangalam, but is it willing to respect the fact that the government has got a majority inside Parliament and therefore the Prime Minister needs to be given due respect? Is there a sense that the Congress has never come to terms with the fact that Mr. Modi is now a three-time Prime Minister?
That's not at all the case, Rajdeep. We very much accept the fact that Mr. Modi is a Prime Minister. We just are stating for the record the fact that he doesn't have an individual majority, and the manner in which he fought the election lends itself to that sort of interpretation, right? He fought it on his own back. He said, for Modi and we are going to go 400 par. So he's come down to earth a little bit. But unfortunately, as you can tell, he's not seeking to be accommodative. I mean, we opened the door to Mr. Rajnath Singh, to Mr. Kiran Rijiju, everyone to come in and talk to us about the speaker. We didn't want to have an election. All we asked for was that, just like all previous governments, give the deputy speaker to the opposition bloc.
It shows that there is, but it does show, therefore, that there is a trust deficit, and that's my final question to you, Shazia Ilmi. Just as the Congress has to perhaps recognize that the Prime Minister has the authority of the Prime Minister, the power of the Prime Minister, does the government realize that you need a strong opposition for democracy to work? This unwillingness to respect, the disrespect for the opposition is a charge which is being made against your government. Om Birla is the same speaker who suspended 115 MPs in the last Lok Sabha. Has he realized that times have changed, as Akhilesh Yadav and Rahul Gandhi, among others, reminded him today? Give the opposition a voice.
Yes, and he won fair and square. And obviously 297 is a bigger number than 234, whatever, if I'm right about numbers. And this was stated and it was expressed easily. And Rahul Gandhi said that, as well as Akhilesh Yadav. And Om Birla ji smiled and heard it, and they shook hands. And soon after, when the talk of emergency began, all hell broke loose. What happened on pro tem speaker? What was the need to make such a big fuss and start with such animosity and belligerence when that could have been avoided? It was just a 2-day job. But imagine how, as we said, how the knives are sharpened only because you've got 50 seats more or 47 or what have you, that means you will just change the course of how things will be done?
No, will the opposition be given a voice is all I ask.
And just,
I believe, okay, let's leave it there. Democracy is about having a strong, robust opposition. Democracy is having an accountable government. At least on this show, it is my pledge to viewers that I will try and make sure that's done. Hold the government accountable and see whether the opposition functions constructively as a robust opposition. That's what democracy is meant to be. That's what the message of the voters was. Be a little bit more humble, whether you're in TV studios or whether you're campaigning for an election. Thank you all to my guests for joining me. Let's turn to the latest on the NEET exam investigations. The CBI tightening the noose on the NEET paper leak accused the principal of a Hazaribagh school being taken by the probe agency into custody, with the school under radar for being the alleged source of the NEET paper leak. The probe has now expanded across 6 states, with more arrests being made. Take a look.
The Oasis School in Jharkhand's Hazaribagh is at the center of the NEET leak probe. Investigators believe that this is where the medical entrance exam question paper was leaked from. Under scanner is the school's principal, Ehsanul Haq. The principal claims that a digital lock on 2 boxes containing question papers did not open at 1:15 p.m. on May 5th as it was supposed to, because of which they had to use a cutter. According to officials, the boxes come in 2 locks. One is manual and the other is digital. While there is a key and cutter to open the former, the latter is supposed to unlock automatically 45 minutes before the examination. At Oasis School in Hazaribagh, this did not happen. The role of the school's NT observer, center superintendent and principal has been found to be suspicious. The school's principal was interrogated by the CBI and has been taken away.
2 लोगों को साथ ले जाया गया है यहाँ से हजारीबाग। यहाँ जो ओएसिस स्कूल के प्रिंसिपल हैं एहसानुल हक, उन्होंने ये कहा भी था कि हर प्रोसेस का, हर एसओपी का पालन हुआ है और हर जो प्रोसेस है उसका वीडियोग्राफी हुआ है, लेकिन सीबीआई के रडार पे वो थे। ये स्कूल लगातार जो है इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसीज के रडार पे थी, क्योंकि यहीं के जो बुकलेट है उसमें टैंपरिंग जो है वो पाया गया था।
The probe in the paper leak case has spread to at least 6 states, but the hunt is still on for the mukhia of the scam, who is believed to have fled to Nepal.
वो बिना सूचना के कार्यालय से अनुपस्थित थे, तो एक सप्ताह बाद हम लोगों ने उनको एक लेटर दिया कि आप बिना सूचना के कार्यालय से अनुपस्थित हैं, आज का स्पष्टीकरण दीजिए। तो वो एक एप्लीकेशन भिजवाए कि हम चिकित्सारत हैं, एकाएक मेरा तबीयत खराब हो गया और मुझे 1 महीने का छुट्टी दिया जाए। 1.5 महीने से लगभग संपर्क उनसे, 1.5 महीने से लगभग कोई संपर्क नहीं हो पाया।
Protests and politics over the issue also continues to explode.
नीट के बच्चे परेशान हैं, नीट के बच्चे परेशान, उनका निरस्त कर दिया। आज ये क्या है? आज उनके भविष्य के साथ खिलवाड़ किया है, उस पे बात करिए, उस पे हिंदुस्तान की जनता जवाब चाहती है।
नीट की परीक्षा में पारदर्शिता हमेशा लाने के लिए ये सरकार हर समय कदम उठा करके ट्रांसपेरेंटली काम हमेशा करने का प्रयास किया है। नीट में आरक्षण लागू करके ये एक बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी है। इसको लोग भुलाने के लिए, गुमराह करने के लिए, विरोधी हमेशा उन नौजवानों को गुमराह करके उनके भविष्य के खिलवाड़ कर रहा है। ये ऐसा है सरकार होने नहीं देगी।
The exam mess cleanup has begun, but the question is if it's too little, too late. Bureau Report, India Today.
From the NEET exam row to the other big story, we've been tracking the hooch tragedy, where the tally of the death toll continues to grow. 63 dead, still several critical in Tamil Nadu over the spurious liquor consumption. Pressure continues to mount on the Stalin government to take swift action, with the AIDMK leading the charge. Take a look at the very latest.
The worst hooch tragedy in Tamil Nadu has claimed over 60 lives. Many more are still fighting for their lives in the hospital. Kalakurchi is reeling from the hooch horror aftermath a week since the tragedy. Pressure is mounting on Chief Minister Stalin and his government to act. The opposition AIADMK and the BJP have been relentless in their protest against MK Stalin. On Wednesday, EPS-led AIADMK MLAs were suspended from the assembly for disrupting the House proceedings.
We are seeking permission to raise our voice under section 56. There is a provision for 56, Ottivaipu Tirmanam, for the valuable reason, which is not permitted by Honorable Speaker.
It's a blatant lie. Every day, our Chief Minister is inviting the leader of the opposition to come to the House for discussion. Has he ever turned up? They come with an ulterior motive to cause problem in the House. They get out without give. And we are ready to face.
The National Human Rights Commission has issued notices to the Tamil Nadu Chief Secretary and the Director General of the State Police. The blame game is escalating, so are the deaths. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's leave you though with our image of the day. Indian origin astronaut Sunita Williams stuck in space. She and her crewmate Butch Wilmore are stranded after glitches were found in the Boeing spaceship they are traveling in. Sunita's return to Earth may now be delayed. That's our image of the day. I leave you with that. And just to say good night, goodbye. Stay well, stay safe. Jai Hind, Namaskar.
Side, and the gem is on the left side, the port side. But let's go forward into Starliner, where there was a little bit of action the other day. So I'm going to lead you down through the PMA 2 into Starliner. All right, going in through the IDA, the docking adapter, and then into the spacecraft. Here we are. Looks like a lot of bags, because there's a lot of packing, and also this big orange thing, which is our ventilation that we get from the space station. And one, here, I'll move the tablet. One right here, and we can operate all sorts of systems through the computer screens. We also have controls to fly